Everybody, we're here with the Sooners recap real quick, but we'll go ahead and hit this intro real quick.
Your mic's off.
Kids screaming in the background. Guys, we're here this morning. Sorry for the little mishaps or whatever the case may be, but we're here off of that win that the Sooners got last night in Tuscaloosa. Chris with a K, Horns Down Podcast. Chris Mason here with the Sooners 360 podcast. Not sure where Jason is at. Jason is probably somewhere in La La Land right now, Cloud Nine, enjoying that win. He was there at the game last night. I know that he was. Uh, I think with Coach Smook last night. So obviously, gotta let the big guy get some rest. Regardless, we are here this morning to talk about the game. Chris Mason, big win last night, great win last night, and like I said, for the longest. These last three games, including the Alabama game, biggest games of Brent Venables' career. What were your overall thoughts about last night?
Well, I think it's the biggest conference game win since Baylor in 2015 in Waco, when an OU team an OU team coming off a bad 2014 season kind of took control of the Big 12 and started to really have a realistic thoughts of making the college football playoff. So I think it's the biggest game in 10 years. I think this defense has stamped itself as the best OU defense since 2001. And to just remind folks, that's a defense that had just a bunch of guys with who were known by just first names: Roy, Teddy, Rocky, Tommy, Dusty, Derek Strait. Um, that's that's pretty much the benchmark when it comes to Oklahoma defense in the 21st century. You'd have to go back maybe to the mid 80s, and then the mid 70s with the Selman brothers to really talk about better OU defensive play. And they're certainly doing that in different generations, different eras of college football. I mean, the performance OU put on the field last night, late afternoon, whatever time zone you want to call it, on defense is just incredible. And then you factor in that OU did it without any real contribution from Jaden Jackson, and you didn't have Gentry Williams, and you didn't have R. Mason Thomas, three of your potential best starters on. You're down 25% of your starters on defense. I'm not sure. I didn't pick this. I didn't think we'd pull this off. I didn't think we'd get the Tennessee win. I think you've got to give Brent a lot of credit for going on the road and winning games that he hasn't won the prior 3 years, for changing some things. And, it wasn't a great day. The offense is still mucking about and struggling, but when they get turnovers, they're cashing them in. And you can't say that about previous Sooner squads.
So let's just stop there before we get to the offense, 'cause I got a lot to say about the offense, but probably way different than what you probably think I would go. But I would say that
Let's just talk
uh,
defense. The defense. I mean,
yeah,
oh
if
my
we
God.
if we give a game ball out right now, guys, to go to Brent Venables right now. Um, Brent Venables went out there and called a hell of a game defensively last night. When you look at it, put it like this right here in basketball terms, Chris Mason, if um, let's say if Jason Tatum, I know he's injured right now. Jason Tatum right now for the Boston Celtics goes out there and he hits 40, right? You're like, well, he still got 40, but you look at the box score and he went 14 of 42. He took 42 shots and hit and only made 14 field goals, meaning that he got a lot of help going to the line, right? You still sit there and you say, hey, well, I don't think that the defender that we had on him is actually bad. I think he made him work for it. He made his life hell that night, right? You go back and watch the film. Same thing. Ty Simpson threw for 30, threw 31 times in the first half, had over 246 yards. You made adjustments in the second half, and basically he finished the game with about 326 yards.
Yeah.
So probably somewhere around in the area between 70 and 80 yards is what he had in the second half of passing. I think that you made him uncomfortable last night. I think that you took away some of the things he wanted. Obviously, I was screaming at the screen like, please, please take away Bernard just sitting there in the middle running that little mesh route or whatever the case may be. But that little mesh or little post sit that he was running. But essentially, I thought Brent Venables called a hell of a game last night. I thought the effort was there. And I think it wore on them. Speed rush, Wine probably gets the next game ball. Taylor Wine he was spectacular. I think when your linebacker core Kip was amazing last night, he was all over the place. Heineke played a strong game. I thought that Omi Sigo at times had a strong game. Kobe looked like he probably could have used another week to really get things back. Um, Secondary, I thought the secondary stepped up, and I thought they made timely plays. We got turnovers. I was not expecting Eli Bowen to take that thing 87 yards back to the house, but he did. Again, RSJ, I thought this was one of his better games this year for sure. Thought Peyton Bowen was made a lot of timely plays as well, but that front, that your linebacker core and your defensive line, they put it all out there on the line. It was from multiple guys. Guys are being disruptive. I think Marvin Jones Jr. had a solid game as well. Nothing that I saw that was glaring. When you talk about the secondary, you got to mention the fact that didn't hear anything about Guillory. Didn't hear anything about Guillory. Didn't hear anything about Eli. Um, um, Davon Jordan. Now, obviously, he could have kept it contained on that 4th and 1 play, but you look at the sack that he got. Um, Boganowski's out there. He's playing snaps and just solid. Don't hear anything about him. Powers is making plays out there. You're doing what you need to do. Um, if we just want to say just a couple of things, got to get the plays in quicker, got to be able to watch. Can't have those busts right there because that's the difference between that game honestly being like a 23, 14, 23, 10 type ordeal simply because you got caught on a couple of plays. Um, just a little bit of foreshadowing to next week. Run game. We have to understand defensively that Michigan tape is out there on that Justin Haynes run. That's where a lot of teams are trying to have success. They're trying to run some motion and catch us misaligned on the back end and get us on that. That is for sure. When you look at Missouri, Missouri is looking at the Texas tape, and that's what they've been running the past couple of weeks, in my opinion, as far as what they want to run. But we'll get to that. But no, Chris Mason, I thought defensively you played a great game, and I think that Venables called a hell of a game. And I thought that he got pressures. He got him hurried. There was disruption in the middle. He couldn't just necessarily step up. And again, guys were getting around the edge. Guys got sacks. You got fumbles. We got all types of stuff. Special teams was huge again tonight. I think both of those units were your better units.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little annoyed. I watched one couple of podcasts, and some folks were just kind of saying, "Well, Simpson just had a bad day," and I'm like, "We just didn't wake up and decide to have a bad day. Oh, you forced him to have a bad day. Those three turnovers were all forced. It's not just like he pulled a Landry and just sort of whiffed the ball and fumbled it like in Landry and Stillwater that one year. The pick was forced by OU blitzing and Bama's O line not picking it up. I mean, when Simpson's throwing that ball to Eli. He has a linebacker in his chest, right? He's he's forcing to throw the ball and he's forcing to be inaccurate. And then obviously Wine's fumble. I mean, could he have blown up Simpson more on that play? I mean, he basically hit him with a Mack truck from that perspective. And then Jaden Hardy punched the ball out from Ryan Williams. Those are the three turnovers. I mean, I think you could argue that the PI call on Kendall Daniels on the other interception was weak, soft. That RSJ probably, and that's another drive killer. We killed that drive. I don't think they get into the end zone again. So Bama was lucky that they kind of got that call going. I know they have some ref complaints, I think. And I'm like, give me a break. But yeah, I mean, special teams wise, you had a big punt return. Punting was good. Is it a surprise when Tate Sandell hits a clutch 50-plus yarder at this point? It just seems almost like we expect it, which is just kind of crazy. Did OU get a little conservative in the red zone on that final drive? And we can talk more about that, maybe a little bit. But I think Sandell allows Brent to just take points. And I'm continually seeing coaches overextend themselves on 4th and 1 and 2, going for it, getting shoved, stopped, not putting points on the board. Shane Beamer, hello. And it comes back to bite them. This seems to be it seems to be okay to just waste opportunities and not bank points in close college football games, which just seems stunning to me.
It's just great to know. It's comfort food, honestly. It brings a lot of comfort to your soul, to your heart, knowing that you have a kicker like Sandell. But I think that
which stops Brent from making
yeah.
bad decisions.
Well, I was just going to say it stops him. I wouldn't even say bad decisions. I would say it stops him from having to play with the logistics so much. Because I think it's typical of an Arbuckle offense to try to go for it on 4th down. But I think Brent is finally showing you I'm taking that next step to say, let's take the points. Defense is playing their heart out. Let's go from there. But no, we'll come back to the defense. Let's talk about the offense. Boomer 580 Sooner says, Chris, what were your thoughts when Arbuckle called the halfback toss to the short side of the field? I'll be honest with you. My only beef with Arbuckle during this game, honestly, were just on some of the short yardage plays like that one. I thought that it was fine. I'm glad that we ran the ball, but I think there were other areas that you could have there were other times where you should have ran the ball. It would have been more timely. That 2nd and 2 that we had. Why we get that penalty? Why are we even throwing it? Just run the ball. It's 2 yards. We've shown that we can run on them. And so I was like, Mateer, X-Rob, whoever, we've shown that we can run on them and go ahead and do this. Like, commit to it, trust it. And we'll go from there. But I would say that, wasn't happy about the call, but I understood it. I understood it, though. So I see David Moyer is in here, and he says that we got to have better quarterback play. CE and Gomes say, you're right, David. I'm skeptical about him coming back next year. I think we can do better. So this is what I say to this right here, okay? People, I think that you guys got to, okay, on one, let's go a different couple of routes, Chris Mason, okay?
Okay.
On one hand, what I say about Mateer and Arbuckle is this right here, okay? I believe Mateer, there's the development that needs to happen. There's certain things that need to happen. But I would say this as well. Mateer needs more playmakers. We got to have more playmakers on the perimeter, right? Right now, we don't necessarily have that guy except for Satania who can make a big play. I think we saw Gibson last night do some things. Jermichael Carter looked good last night in his spurt. Burks was actually active to start the game. I don't think that you have that guy that is just blazing down the field like this offense usually has. When you go back and watch those, I mean, Kyle Williams right now probably be going crazy in this offense right now. You know, the looks, the trust, all the rest of those things were there. This offense can be explosive, but you have to go get playmakers. Chris Mason, as much as I love Satania, I think Satania's having a great year, and I'm really happy for the kid that he bet on himself and went to OU, left Arkansas, and is having a year that he thought that he could have, not only in the SEC, but just in college football in general. But at the same time, I don't think Satania is your true number one. You need a true number one, but I don't necessarily know if you have that right now. Gibson is still battling these injuries. Keontez Lewis is still whatever's going on with him. Burks has just kind of been in a funk where he's been active at times and not active. But my whole thing is that I think that you need more playmakers for him, but that's a next year kind of conversation. Second off, I think a lot of people were asking Mateer, please step up in the pocket. Run if you need to, but step up in the pocket. He made timely throws last night yet again. Yet again. Go and look at the play where he stepped up in the pocket and hit Satania for that crucial
Yeah.
yeah. There's a bunch of times last night where I said, okay, I see. He's trusting the pocket. He's trying to stay. He wasn't drifting. He wasn't doing this. He wasn't doing that. The play calling at times can be a bit sporadic simply because we don't commit to the run. Regardless, though, I think
Well,
that
and I think Ekstrom getting banged up didn't help.
that didn't help either. And again, like I was telling you guys the other day, when Blaylock is in, Blaylock is good. Love Blaylock. Blaylock got to run a space though. He's got to stop trying to hit guys and just run a space. That's his game. But I would just say that at some point we got to understand. Okay, there is nothing wrong with being a really good game manager. The Bennett kid, or whatever his last name was, that won those championships for Georgia. His second year, he was lighting people up. Don't get me wrong.
At times.
Obviously,
At times.
yeah, obviously it helps that you got Lad McConkey and Brock Bowers, but still, he was lighting people up that
And
second year.
he'd been in college for 8 years. That
But
helped.
that
That helped.
first year that he started Chris Mason, he was a glorified game
Oh
manager.
yeah, yeah.
And at this point, people, I'm fine with John Mateer just being a game manager until he feels like he's right to truly let it rip. Because right now, if you do what you need to do and you play complimentary football, I'm perfectly fine with it, Chris Mason. I'll give it to you.
Well, again, he's recovering. We lost a lot of momentum on offense this year, right? And everyone's saying that we should swap out quarterbacks for next year is out of their minds. I'm sorry, guys. What we need on offense is some continuity, consistency, cohesion, and development. We don't need to be swapping out Arbuckle for a new play caller or swapping out our quarterbacks. We need to develop our offensive line with the young guys we've got. We need to develop our receivers. We need to go get, if we can get a playmaker, an elite playmaker at wide receiver, we need to go do that. If we can do that at tight end, we need to do that. But overall, there's nothing that's going to help our defense more than our offense, more than a full off season, working through everything, a full off season of development for our O line, a full off season of development for X-Rob and Blaylock, and to get healthy. Ronnie, X-Rob got banged up. I'm just not sure where you're able to run him more. We're banged up at running back. It's just we're a little bit on fumes at the running back position right now. So to me, you're right. You need to game manage. And what's the number one thing we did at Tennessee and yesterday? We paid off defensive turnovers. Every time we're getting a turnover, we're putting points on the board. And our defense is good enough that they can win 23-14 type shootouts, or whatever you want to call it, or game manager games. We have the defense that guys, we won games in 2001 in ugly fashion, man, and that's because we didn't have 200 yards of offense in 2001 in the Roy Superman game. Texas held us to like 225 or something. Did we win? Yeah. Does anybody remember the fact that we only had 200 yards in that game? No. We remember winning. We remember Roy making an all-time great play, an OU great history. So again, you're right. Our defense is elite. Our offense could have been okay if we hadn't had the Mateer injury and the O line injuries.
Yeah,
They
I mean,
happened. They happened. They derailed our development on offense. We're now just trying to piece things together, and the offense is being opportunistic.
mhm.
We could have put we kicked two red zone field goals, but and on the second red zone field goal, maybe did get conservative. But if I'm Brent, I'm like, I'm banking the three, and I'm going to bet on my defense getting another stop. And he was right. That's what happened.
And Keontae Lewis not being back, a guy being healthy, all the way healthy. I think that hurts as well. It's another safety net for him.
Yeah.
Jinka Blank says, "Look, I'm just gonna say it. Our quarterback is not that good, and he don't see the field that good, but he's good enough in my opinion." I just think that the criticism of Mateer at this point, up to this point, is just crazy to me because there's just so many multiple factors to where it's like he hasn't really lost you a game. I mean, you could go back to the Ole Miss game and say there's multiple things that he didn't see. The Texas game, or there's multiple reasons why we didn't win. I mean, you could go and point at BV and say, why did you stop blitzing old boy and just start running zone? Right? They're literally just climbing up on us and waiting on that. You can go look at Satanya's fumble. I mean, there's plenty of reasons why, guys. Not just one person to blame. Sugo English or Sujio English, he says materials a one read and take off. He's saying that if you want to play Hawkins, I'm like, I guess where I come in at is just like you, Jason, all the rest. I just don't get it. Like your infatuation with Hawkins after these two games we saw this season, knowing that that's what he's going to do is just take off and run. I just don't know. I really don't know what you guys expect. Like we are literally 10 games into the season now. And I don't necessarily know if we are what we are right now simply because I see the progressions. He's not a one read guy. I see his head moving. I see him doing certain things. Guys are just not necessarily getting open as quick as you think that they would. We have a wide receiver out there right now who's coming back off a broken leg. We have Burks, who is just I don't know, right?
I mean
Just being taken away. Then
and
we
th-
have Satania, who's out there pretty much by himself, and you have safety valves. And now I don't think Kanik is that much of a part of the offense simply because you're splitting reps between him and Helms, and rightfully so because I think EPL Helms and X Rod together, those three have changed this offense drastically
the
because
physicality
physical and all of that.
they bring
Yeah,
physicality to it, where we were a finesse offense. They've now brought some physicality to it. It's a balancing act between Helms and Kanik. I think they did a fairly decent job with it yesterday. I know Helms got a bad penalty, from that perspective, but at least he was being physical. It wasn't some candy ass crap. He blew that guy up. I just think offensively, again, it's getting better and better. It looks better. But we're on the road to play a much better Alabama defense than Tennessee defense. Tennessee's defense and Alabama's defense aren't in the same league,
mm-mm.
basically. Bama's got a very good secondary. They've got good secondary pieces back there. They're playing well. I think it was and everyone looks at the yards, and I'm like, yardage is just such a BS stat sometimes.
No, we didn't have it was time of possession and a lot of stuff that happened during the game, and us finally, doing the bend don't break thing. I think for me, Chris Mason, if I may just step in here real quick, I think the thing for me, I got texts from a lot of people on that play where the intentional grounding play, right? And to me, say what you want to say is that or whatever. People, oh, Mateer sucks this, and I'm just like, okay, like what do you want him to do? If he throws that pass, there's literally two people coming down on Satania on that screen. Satania came out of his break hella slow because obviously he's trying to set it up, right? He comes out of that break as far as that bench, running that bench route, that kind of that end route, to come back for the screen. The screen was set up. Yes, there was space, but literally, if Material would have threw that ball, there's literally a linebacker and a second. I think it was a safety or whatever. They're coming down and crashing down. If you think that that's a high, if you think that's a high quality play to throw it to Satania, who's known for getting hit and fumbling and doing all of that, you do what you got to do, boo boo. That it is what it is. My whole thing is that again,
And
yesterday
it's a suspect grounding call.
it's suspect
It's a suspect as
grounding
hell.
call.
I mean, as hell. I mean, it is. That was a legit, like, really. Give me a break.
I just can't go against Mateer right now, knowing that I think that he doesn't necessarily have all the weapons that he needs. And second, the fact of the matter is the guy's going out there and something still is up with that thumb. That thumb is still healing, right? But guys putting all out on the line and everything, it's like that. I just can't go against that right now. But what I'm saying is that Chris Mason, you've been saying it for the past couple of weeks, and everybody in the comments have been saying it as well. We just got to play complementary football. If OU does not beat OU, we win the game. Simple as that.
If you and again, for all the criticism of our offense, they are and they didn't have the big drive to salt the game away yesterday. Yeah, that would have been nice, but the false start and then the bizarre grounding call cost us. But the defense had their back, and the defense won the game. So, and you had multiple guys making plays, to make that happen. So I think you got to give the offense maybe giving Tate Sandell a bunch of it as well for just banking points and knowing we don't have to have 35 to win. We're not in that mode any longer. We don't have that kind of offense. But we also don't have a defense where you have to score 45.
Yeah.
And when you score 35, you may lose a game. But because you got to have 45 or 52 or 63 or whatever it is with some of those Lincoln Riley games, the defense is, you got to recognize where your strength is and be opportunistic on the other side of the ball. And that's what we were. We were opportunistic on offense. We made some plays. The 20-yard touchdown run by Mateer, that was a great play, individual play by him, individual performance, because they should have tackled him at the 10, and he dragged them all the way into the end zone to punch that in. I mean, if you're looking at that guys, you watch lots of college football, and quarterbacks aren't making their progressions through plays. It's just not happening. It's not just like, this isn't like a Mateer thing. And I think, the injury set us back. He couldn't practice. We got injuries across the offensive line, which have hurt. We're playing 3 freshmen on the O-line. They make mistakes. And we lost our running back again, which hurt. So I think, you can say everything you want about the offense. They're not the offense of the Lincoln Riley era. But I have more confidence that Brent will get us a good offense down the road than I ever had that Lincoln was going to fix the defense.
That's true. That's true.
When you talk about big picture, right? What is you? I mean, because if you look at that defense, Chris, we played so many kids. It's loaded with sophomores, freshmen, redshirt freshmen, sophomores, redshirt sophomores, and juniors. We're bringing a defense to kick ass again next year. And I think offensively, you keep Arbuckle, you keep Mateer, you add pieces in, your freshmen all become sophomores. Next year, we could be very good on off. We could potentially be good on offense. You get a playmaker, wide receiver from the portal, okay, or someone from one of the young kids steps up. If there's any criticism I have, it's Is there really no way we can get Elijah Thomas and Kearney on the field and get them some reps? Are they really just being that beaten? Are the veterans just outplaying them that much in practice? And that's the thing we don't know. And I think you would like to see. I'd like to see Elijah Thomas just to see what if is as because we just need a little bit of offense, a spark here, big play here, someone who can turn a 15-yard play into a 40-yard play. We don't need a whole lot on offense. We just need a couple of sparks, a couple more precision plays, a couple of big plays. So I mean that's a valid criticism. That's a valid observation in my opinion. But you know, guys, if Hawkins was really the answer, Brent knows he's so close. He'd be playing. He'd be playing if they thought he could improve this offense by 3 or 4 points a game.
Well, I am
So
struggling over here. My mouse died. Either way, no, I'm listening to you, man. I agree with everything that you're saying. I just don't. I don't know, man. I just feel like next year is next year. I look if they brought Hawkins out there and maybe some of our run packages where we knew that hey he has a threat of like a wildcat almost to where it's like hey he can throw,
yeah,
he can run, he
just a
can do all those things.
curveball. It's a curveball to some teams.
I'm perfectly
Yeah,
fine with that if we threw that wrinkle in, but I just think that right now, I'm not necessarily sure we're at a point where we can cost this defense with just doing just anything and everything. I think right now you just have to
yeah,
kind of stick to it, and it's not necessarily hoping for the best. I think that really good things will come. You got a touchdown yesterday. You scored on them. There was a couple of times where you should have scored on them. Play calling, I don't know. I feel like hey, we could have been a little bit more aggressive, run the ball on that first field goal. That's what I felt like. Just run the ball, commit to the run, and give yourself third down to work with as far as what you want to do as far as passing or whatnot. But no, again, I just thought it was a solid performance all around. I am looking at a comment right now. Liberty Metcalf, he says, what are the stats on the penalties for this season? And I mean, that's something that is really surprising to me, Chris Mason. It's just um, the penalties this year, man. Not necessarily what we're doing, but more or less just how soft it seems the SEC is.
yeah. I mean, we were. I mean, I remember watching a lot of SEC football, and I remember teams were getting holding calls left and right on their pass rush, and DBs were a mugging wide receivers. We joined the SEC, and now our elite front four can't draw a holding call, and they're being so ticky tack on our cornerbacks. It's a little bit like, well, what the hell, guys? So yeah, it's surprising. I mean, the SEC's had a terrible refereeing year. I'll repeat the comment we've made on multiple pods. They've got to switch to the ACC model. They got to have a command center, and they've got to have those command center discussions broadcast on the SEC and on the SEC games. We need transparency and consistency. So, but yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, Chris, if you were to give, and this is tough to do, but if you were to give 5 game balls out today for yesterday's performance, just 5 individuals as stand out, who's your top 5?
If I gave 5 game balls out right now, I'd give a game ball to Taylor Wine, obviously. Give a game ball to Kip Lewis. I think that's obvious. Um, Probably say I'd give a game ball to. I'll be honest with you, it's probably gonna be a little bit controversial. I give a game ball to the offensive line as well. Uh, two true
They
freshmen.
held. They held up. They held up.
Yeah, two true freshmen and one redshirt freshman. And you went out there and did what you needed to do on the road in Tuscaloosa. I mean, it's hard not to sit here and talk about how those guys are growing up right before our excuse me our eyes. So that's 3. Um, I think that you gotta give a game ball. I'm trying to pinpoint somebody in the secondary. Maybe you could say Eli Bowen just for that how clutch that was. Potentially, you say that. No, no, no. I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you who I give a game ball to. Hardy. I give a game ball to him. for creating havoc on that play. That was a key play for us to get the ball back and to go get that score. I believe that led to the Mateer score, right? And
Yeah,
then
the Mateer rushing touchdown. Yeah.
yeah, and then last but not least, man, like I said before, I give a game ball to the head coach. I give it to the head ball coach. Brent Venables deserves one because that was a hell of a game that he called yesterday. Again, yeah, Ty Simpson finished with for 326, but I mean he threw the ball what 50 times.
Well, we shut down their running game. You made them one dimensional
Yeah,
in the run, and everyone's like Ty Simpson had a bad day. No, he didn't have a bad day. I mean, give Brent a game ball for just out strategizing, out scheming Ryan Grubb. Right?
yeah.
All we heard was Ryan Grubb, best guy, and then Brent basically in the 1-to-1 matchup beat him.
Go ahead, Chris Mason. Who are your game balls?
Well, I think obviously, Taylor Wine and I think Kip are just so obvious. You can't, you really got to, you can't do that. I'm going to give one to Satania. Tough catches, great punt return that set up. That really, I mean, we started hot, right? We didn't start cold like we did against Tennessee. And I think the Satania punt return was a big reason why. So I give Satania one. I think based upon just watching stuff and seeing stuff, it looked to me like Reggie Powers was kind of all over the place. He had a sack. He was physical. He was making some plays. So I'm going to give the young safety Cheetah a game ball. I'm sure he made some mistakes on the deeper side of the film, but he was set. He made a couple of physical tackles, open field tackles that helped the defense get Bama off the field. And then I think probably I'm going to give a game ball to Jermichael Carter. He made a couple of nice big plays. He's rounding into form. He's a guy who could, because remember he came in late, so he's sort of rounding into form a little bit. He's got a lot of physical skills. Maybe in the next couple of games he makes some bigger plays for us. But when we needed to get some first downs, he made some nice catches. There's a lot of potential. We've not tapped all that. There's a lot more there.
Mhm.
And I think on the road and in a big in time environment, he made some clutch plays, and I think that's encouraging for what he could be for the
Great
rest.
blocker, great
And
blocker.
he's
Yeah,
physical too, right?
yeah.
He's out there blocking. Another physical piece another piece of that whole. We're going to swap some pieces in, and we're going to get more. We're going to be more physical. We're going to EPL, Helms, and Carter are giving us three guys that just more physical in the run game, helping X-Rob. I honestly think if you hadn't got hurt, we'd be giving X-Rob a game ball. He probably would have crunched out about 80 yards for us, and may have we may have salted this game going away. But what can you do? But I think when you look at defensively, just how many kids were playing. I mean, Jaden Jackson didn't really play. Marcus Strong is giving us good reps inside. It's the beauty of having five real defensive tackles that and defensive ends, right? You lose RMT and Jaden Jackson, and preseason, if you told me we had to go to Alabama without those two guys, I'd be like, well, we're screwed.
Yeah.
But that's not the way the depth has developed, and that's not the way the defense plays. And it was a great performance on defense, and Brent, and the team's kind of channeling Brent's, mantra, the way he wants to work. I love the hard to kill T-shirts they're wearing.
Pollock said that a while ago on one of his pods. He was like, he was talking about basically, hey, if a head coach is calling the plays, those teams have never really, won a national championship and stuff. But he was like, man, he's like, you got to look at what Venables is doing, calling the plays now. He's like the defense. You knew the defense was going to be good, but he was like they got an extra bit of juice about them now. He's like it's because they've adopted his attitude, being so aggressive and doing doing what he loves to do, which is blitzing, getting to the quarterback, creating chaos all over the field. Those pictures change, and you saw that last night, man. You saw a lot of that last night.
Yeah, I mean David Cohn on the Crane and Crane podcast, he was saying, he goes, I think Brent's maybe the only coordinator in college football where you show one thing and then something else completely different is happening on defense. And for Ty Simpson, reads coverages and reads everything as well as anybody. But what did OU do? He was I'm expecting this, and he dropped back, and then all of a sudden he couldn't get a read on what we were doing. And as you said, we made him work hard for those yards. We forced him to make mistakes, and uh, and we beat him. I mean, and he's playing, and he's playing, and he's been on a winning streak since the FSU game. So, I think that's all credit to Brent that he's able to run that kind of sophisticated defense
Oh.
in college without where other folks just can't do it.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, sorry people. Yeah, we just jumped on here real quick. I forgot to change that. Usually Jason would do that, but Jason's not with us today. So excuse us for the whole Knoxville thing or whatnot. We know that we were in Tuscaloosa, but yeah. Jumping to this comment though, Unk says Manning and Simpson having conversations about how to beat OU and Georgia. That's wild. I guess they were wrong. So that was pretty funny. But
Well, I
yeah,
would if I'm Simpson. I don't know why the hell you're listening to anything Eli Manning's. I mean,
no,
sorry, Arch Manning's telling you.
Archman,
Like,
yeah.
I mean,
But
Or Eli for that matter. From his couch doing Subway, doing Jersey Mike commercials. Yeah,
I,
I mean,
oh
it's classic. It's Manning needs to worry about going on the road and beating a quality team just by
yeah.
himself before he's giving anybody else recs on how to do it.
So I want to jump into this comment here. Sooners to win. He says 13 was lighting people ass on fire. Reggie Powers was doing his thing last night. And that's what's so scary about this defense is the fact that that secondary is only going to get better because a lot of those guys you're playing a lot of sophomores. You're playing some freshmen in there, right? You saw Koye out there too. I mean, I just think that just giving them chances and getting them in there to test them. I mean, the whole thing is that the future is bright here at OU. We said it here this past summer, this past spring, this past winter, last year, this time, and we said, hey man, this defense has a chance to be better than what it was last year, even though you lost a Stutzman and you lost a Billy Bowman. This defense had a chance to be better, and I think that they're proving it right now.
I think they're playing above what I thought they could do.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
that's just a fact. I mean, they're they're playing at a level I did not anticipate that they could hit this year.
yeah.
Preseason. If you told me preseason, you know, they would be top 15, I was like, okay, yeah, I can believe that. But legitimately, they're the best defense in college. You can say they're the best defense in college football, and you really only have one real argument based upon the teams they've played right now, and that's Ohio State.
Huh. Liam Brooks says, how many SEC teams does Oklahoma have to beat before people stop saying OU doesn't belong in the SEC? I mean, that's a good question. What do we got to do, right? Again, I think you channeled that energy to the point where the naysayers don't really matter. We don't have to deal with all that stuff, man. Just go out there and play good football and go win games. Chris Mason, one point I do want to point out about both sides of the ball. There's one thing that I want to see both sides of the ball get, okay? And that's a killer instinct.
Okay, they're
Meaning
close.
that
They're close.
they're close.
On defense, they're very close.
On defense, they're like 1 foot away. They literally knocking on the door, just waiting for them to open it up. Offense, we're still walking up the porch, right?
Yeah,
So
yes, definitely.
so the whole thing is that when you defensively, you want the turnovers, you want this, you're starting to get them now. Things are starting to happen, and that's scary as well because, again, like I told you guys 2-3 games ago, we haven't peaked yet, and I don't think that this team has
Oh
peaked
no,
yet.
I mean, we're at like 55% on offense,
Mhm.
maybe lower than that. And there's I don't think you're not hitting 100 this year, but
Mhm.
there is quantifiable improvement from the assets we have and how we're playing on offense. I mean, just look at the game yesterday. If we're clicking a little bit more on offense, that's a that's an 8 point that's a 10 point win for Oklahoma.
I mean, Greg Ray, you could kind of go back and forth with it. Knockout punch, killer instinct. I think we're all what I mean. What I mean by this is it's not necessarily the knockout. Yes, both. Killer instinct, yeah, that equals out to a knockout punch. Simply because, hey, you go get an interception against him, a pick six against him. I need you to come out there and get another stop. Stack them, right? Mateer, go down there, score that touchdown. I need you to go get another one next drive. I need you to be able to respond. Go blow for blow whenever you need to, right? Those are things right there. I think that like, hey, if we could get that, even if it's just on one side of the ball, I think if we could get that and be so dominant on one of those areas, and all it has to be is just one game, right? You're asking for complementary football throughout the rest of the season or throughout the rest of the way, wherever we land and wherever we finish. But I think that at some point in one or two or three more of these games that we're hopefully going to be able to play, you got to be able to have that at least just one game, even if it's just on one side of the ball to give the other side a chance. Again, I'll be honest with you. I still think that to start the game, to start the second half, I felt like the offense had a lot more juice to it. I felt like they were lively. They looked active.
It's the best coming out of the half we've had on the road because
Yes.
generally, I mean, Tennessee we came out 3 and out and
Yeah.
all that. So I think you're right. I think we're getting it's you know I we're winning games and we're not playing at an elite level, and we're winning very tough games against excellent opponents on the road.
Yeah.
And when you add all that up, that there's if OU can just we're in the margins right now on offense. If we could just be 15% better on offense, that could pay off huge because of how well we're playing defensively. We're very very it's right there on the edge. It's we've got two tough home games left, and then a 3 week break before you'd have to play again, right? If we were able to go 10-2 and get into the playoffs, that's 3 weeks for our defense to get healthy. It's 3 weeks for Mateer to work with our wide receivers, our young offensive line to get 3 weeks of good practice in. I wouldn't want to match up with Brent having 2 weeks to create a defensive game plan either. So if I'm in the college football playoff, I don't want to play OU because if OU's defense plays above what they're doing, you may get 10 points on the board and you may give up 3 turnovers and you think you can stop OU's limited offense. Well, not when they get in field position and not when the defense is setting them up.
Yeah. See, Byron Smith, he says, what we need is a solid number one wide receiver. We need big play wide receiver to open up the offense. I think, yeah, we talked about that a little bit earlier. And again, I think this offense is still a bit raw. I think there's some time and some grace that you need to give to guys with the injuries and this and that. But, hey, we will definitely talk about that soon. But I definitely agree with that. Max Force, he said, it seems like they don't commit long enough to the run long enough to get rolling. I would agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Sooners to Win says you guys think Keontae Lewis will play versus Missouri. I hope so. I hope that you get to see a solid rotation out there that would give us pretty much 5 because you could put your Michael Carter in there. But I think that you gotta roll with who's the hot hand and who's doing what right now. So just see, practice is everything, right? The biggest thing is we got to see where is, Jaden Jackson first. I think he'll be fine because they held him out, but he was out there a little bit. See where R. Mason Thomas is. I know my uncle screaming at me saying, "No, I would just rest him. I think we could beat Missouri without him," which I think we can too, but we'll go from there. Third thing, gotta get Gentry back. That's another big piece to the pie as well. So just gotta get healthy at the right time. That's all you need. Yeah. He said Greg Gray said, hell, we passed the 50 and you stopped the offense. We just send in booty shorts. I mean, yeah.
Well, again, you when you're holding teams to in the 20s or in the teens, right?
Uh,
Every when you're trying to score 45 points, 3 points, just from a math standpoint, doesn't mean as much, right? But when you're only trying to score 24, 3 points, 3 points is the same as a touchdown in the other way of playing football. From that perspective. So, okay, Chris, just before we sign off here,
I
um,
had a little bit more.
oh, you got a little bit more. Okay,
I had
all
a
right,
little
all
bit
right.
more.
But
I had
just
just a little bit more. So I wanted to say, and I'm not even getting on here to toot up my own horn, but hey,
oh,
um,
you called
I,
half of this game.
I look, and I told you, I said, hey, it's Alabama's offense is explosive, but at the same time, it can become very predictable. Outside of just picking up the drag route or the little crossers or whatever they want to run with the tight end. I told you the tight end is a big part of it as well. But like I told you, I said, hey man, they run a lot of corner routes and they will put Bernard on the furthest side away and have him come out of nowhere and sit right there in the middle on a post sit or some orbit route or whatever the case may be. You took all of that away last night. Ryan Williams, my auntie asked me, he's like, what's your honest thoughts about Ryan Williams? And I said, I think Ryan Williams is electric with the football. I said, he's must see. He's showtime. But you have to treat him as a one. You cannot treat him as a two. You cannot do that because he tends to fade away, especially in some of the bigger games. Now, we've seen him play a lot of big games and see him play. And please understand, people, Ryan Williams is a first round talent all day, every day. Does he go in the first round? I don't know. Should he? In my opinion, yes. That kid is electric with the football. He can make things happen that most people can't in college football right now. But at the same time, I don't think they treat him like that. Ty Simpson, I think Ty Simpson is really good. He's exceeded a lot of people's expectations. But again, they hadn't seen a pass rush like this. You know, and on the other side of the ball, I wish I would have said this earlier, but hell, I run the 4.25 on NCAA game. That's what I run. It's not really blitz heavy. It's just assignment sound football. That's what it is. Knowing your personnel, running your zones, running all the rest of that stuff. And the way we run that 4.25, we're really just multiple. We're truly multiple on defense, whereas they're not. They're a good defense, don't get me wrong. And I do believe they're going to beat the hell out of Eastern Illinois and beat the hell out of Auburn as well. There's no doubt in my mind Bama's going to be in the playoffs. Regardless, though, again, just watching the film, I said Vandy went in there and one, lost the game because of turnovers, but two, lost the game because they did not have a true pass rush. When
I know you
you
flip
go
both of those things.
Yeah. When you go and watch Ty Simpson play, there's something that he does that is so freaking aggravating, Chris Mason. The kid will literally do a bootleg or run to the right, just getting out of the pocket. He will stop, plant his feet, and throw on platform, not off platform. And the reason why I said it's aggravating because that's perfect technique from him, but it's aggravating. It's very frustrating to see teams still not be able to do anything with that. If he's running 5 yards out of the pocket, somebody needs to come down there and pop him.
Right.
But pressure, do something. But nobody has had a true pass rush to get to that kid. And I think that's what you saw LSU try to do, but it just wasn't consistent, right? And I think ours was at first it was kind of like, okay, okay. And then all of a sudden it just started to ramp up. And that offensive line for Bama, they're huge, they're big, and they can move. They're pretty agile. Problem is that those tackles are way too big. I mean, Proctor is just, in my opinion, I'm just like, he struggles with speed rush. He
Yeah, I
struggles with
mean,
speed rush and he struggles with guys with good moves.
some people have him like as a first round pick, and I'm like, if he struggles with college speed,
Yeah.
what are NFL DNs going to do to him? I mean, right? If
Yeah.
he's struggling with college speed rushes, okay, what are you going to do What do you do when you're facing NFL guys?
Unc is he always when we talk about Proctor, he says he's a guard. He said I would not spend tackle money on him in the league. He said if I'm a GM, I'm picking him and telling him he's gonna play guard. He would be a hell of a guard in the league, in my opinion. I just don't think that, and I think the kid he's a freak of nature. He's built crazy, but I just don't think that he is a
He's quick enough.
I don't think he's quick enough for to play tackle at the next level.
All right. You got anything else, or can we talk a little CFP?
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
So, where would you have the Sooners after this victory and all the other stuff that's gone on in college football over the weekend?
I'm gonna be I'm gonna be honest with you. I think we should jump Notre Dame. I believe that we need to jump Notre Dame. Hell, not just for our sake, but just for the credibility of
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 college football,
college football playoff committee. They went. Hey, don't get me wrong. They went up there and they did what they needed to do against Pitt, who had could be potentially uh, their biggest threat, right? That was left on their schedule. But I think that you probably are somewhere around that 7 or 8
okay.
mark.
Should they be ahead of Oregon?
I feel like they should because Oregon doesn't have that signature win this year, in my opinion.
Right.
But then again, Oregon only has one loss, so I don't know. It's just hard to really gauge whenever you're 8-2 in the SEC with how the SEC is right now. And the SEC, don't get me wrong, it's kind of top heavy. It's really not though because teams are going out there and battling. I mean, South Carolina, how that happened, I don't know. Um, Ole Miss was on the verge of losing last night
At home,
at home.
and the
Miss
Aggies were at home.
Yeah, Mississippi State has all but kind of quit, but they've been kind of
Well,
resurging.
they're out of gas, right?
Yeah, they're out of gas. They're
Mississippi
already,
State, their depth is depleted. They're out of gas. So,
but Vandy is
um,
still there. Vandy is on by, but yeah, no, I think OU will be somewhere around about 7 or 8. I think that's right about where they're at. And you know what? Honestly, perfectly fine with that.
so, um, was there anything else about yesterday that surprised you? Were you surprised? I know it got a little bit out of hand. Were you surprised how ineffective Texas looked against UGA?
Um, yes and no.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because when I watch Texas, it's clear to me that injuries have just hurt whatever they were going to have in Baxter. Baxter is their best back, but that running back room, they've had some key injuries on that in that running back room. I mean, it's almost to the point where you're just like, man, maybe you just go with Niblet the whole time and just let him run. Obviously, they got Wisner and all the rest of the stuff. They came out there and they were running the ball. I was like, Sark, just commit to running the ball. But for whatever it's worth, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that if I'm if I'm if I'm Wingo, I'm looking at Zachariah Branch like, oh, that's me right there. Yeah, I can run a few routes and this and stuff like that, but I'm more explosive when I catch it in the backfield and can make people miss and then cut up field. I just he's not your one. If anybody's your one, I'll be honest with you, is Parker Livingstone. That kid is probably your one at this moment because I know Texas is going to go out there and get some playmakers in that wide receiver room this next year. I just know Sark is going to be aggressive that way. He has no choice. But um, I just think that offensively, and don't get me wrong, Arch Manning has been playing really good football over the course of the past few weeks. Um, and it's still there. You see him making throws, you see him doing things, and sometimes the old arch creeps in, but you see the continuity coming in, at least with him. But there's just no consistency in that wide receiver room, I believe. Um, Run game is pretty good. The offensive line is playing better, but again, it's just that side of the football. Like I don't know. When you go and play again, who I call the San Antonio Spurs of college football, they can beat you in a dead out sprint, or they can beat you just slugging it out. It's hard to go and beat Georgia whenever. I mean, Gunnar Stockton is playing. Is honestly, he's playing like a Heisman.
He's
right?
playing well. He's playing well.
He's playing really
He's
well.
given him
And
the best, maybe the best quarterback play under Kirby.
that defense is starting to get a pass rush, a real pass rush. And man, like just last night, it just never felt like they had the juice. I'm not gonna go belt to ass and do all the rest of that stuff. I'm just gonna say like it just I don't know. It felt like they came out, they dancing to the music, start getting them ready, and then they run out and then they running the football, and then all of a sudden, what they put three on the board because Wingo drops the pass, all the rest of that. It just felt
Yeah.
like the juice, just like everything, all the hype, everything they had just went out the window. And be honest with you, there was a couple of Georgia players that were just talking hella noise, and I don't know. It just felt like that was a dam that had two or three cracks in it that were like pretty large, and then all of a sudden it just got overrun. Like they just couldn't stop it. So, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't too surprised just because I just feel like Texas is is a bad road team. They just they didn't have to go on the road last year. Then they've obviously showed cracks all over the place going on the road this year. I mean, let's call it what it is. Kentucky and Auburn, sorry, Kentucky and Mississippi State should have beat them. I mean, they should have. So, I mean, Texas should have four road losses. So let's just call that what it is. They're not good on the road. They're not disciplined on the road, and they're lucky to only have two road losses, not four. So I just think, you know, I to me it's odd. Sark doesn't seem very concerned about them not being good. He seems a little off to me on the sideline. Maybe I'm interpreting that a little too much, but would it shock you if Sark took an NFL job?
Um, yes.
Okay.
I don't think that Sarkis would have the control that he would want at the NFL level. I think he's tried that before, and I think that he was decent and pretty good for the Hawks when he was there for that short period. I know it was kind of hot and cold or whatever, but it wouldn't surprise me. But at the same time, I think that it wouldn't necessarily like just shock me, wow me, but I think that Sark has something going at Texas, and he's built that, and I think that he can see it through. And I think the thing is just you listen to all the Texas pods and Texas folk, and they think that next year his seat could get a lot warmer. His seat could get this and that because yeah, you've made it to the college football playoffs, but what have we won outside of a Big 12 championship? I think at some point that's got to that kind of creeps in to your head. I'm just glad we're not having these conversations about my gosh, but yeah, I mean that's a
Yeah, I mean
conversation for itself. But yeah,
that's the big thing. So I'll add one last thing for us is that apparently Nagy, um, Dawson, and Stacy Ford were hitting up big time recruits from OU's celebration on the field at Tuscaloosa. So just another example of how having a front office staff working for OU on the recruiting trail. This is a huge win for the next week. We get everybody talking about OU's win over Bama, everybody talking about OU in the college football playoff. And you got two big weekends of recruits coming in. So that can't be that's a sweet setup as far as that's concerned. But you just got to go. You can't waste. I am a little concerned with the defensive injuries and just maybe being a little worn out with Missouri coming to town. I think they'll get sky high for a night game with LSU on Thanksgiving weekend. But it's this Missouri game coming up. There's a little bit of a hangover effect. I'm a little worried about.
I think you'll be fine. 11 a.m. game. I think offensively, you need to go out there. And yes, people, I know what I've said earlier, but you got to be better. But I think for me, Chris Mason, it's go and put on the film with some of these other teams. Go watch that Texas A&M game that they played against them. You can stop the run and you can stop Hardy.
I
Uh,
agree. I mean, no one's really rushed us like that. Not without a
you have to be disciplined.
yeah.
I think you're perfect. I think you'll be perfectly fine. But before I say anything more, you know what I got to do. I got to go watch the film. I got to go watch the film and give you my thoughts. But people, hey, look, we're going to get up out of here. giving you an hour just of our recap or whatnot. Chris Mason and I will be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. to talk about recruiting. Just coming off a big win like this, going into the Missouri game, who's going to be here this weekend. I know that the Allen kid, I know my aunt keeps screaming at that, the Allen kid, the wide receiver, possibly at
No, he
LSU.
went to LSU. He got a LSU offer, so
Uh-huh.
they're
So
making a push for him.
So there you go, right there. So with that being said, we'll talk about all that stuff tomorrow. Again, we're there for a good time, not a long time. So definitely come with some questions, and we'll talk recruiting. Outside of that, people.